I'm not trying to, no, I'm not trying to. I have severe PTSD. People that try to steal me. Sorry. I rely on that too. I don't know why the choir doesn't do this. Dozens of dollars. That's the only process. You know, it's not starting. Actually, I wanted to both my boys older boy. I just assumed inside the he has perfect pitch, which is wonderful. He's one of those guys that listens to song. The other boy is opposition for a top because he is a real but they both seem to have like similar interests. We used to sing songs. Did you have some musical theater? No. Well, yes, my mother sang. My mother sang. She sang with her my sister and my brother sang elementary school teacher encouraged me not to sing. Others have agreed. Somebody is flicking the lights. Yes. Well, I chose you well. Where is Rich? Rich? We're all in service. Expect us to have a very big crowd today. Good morning. I was waiting for that one right there. Now I feel fulfilled, yes. My name is Rich Richens. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at the church, and we've started something a little bit new. We're going to have a member of the board read announcements each week. We did this before when Rod was here. I like the idea. It brings more people up to the front of the room. So, with that in mind, I'm going to read to you the announcements. The Tombaugh Art Gallery has a new opening this Friday. They'll be featuring works by 3 local artists. Laurel Weathersby, her focus is primarily watercolors. Kay Gross, she does creations of art glass, often reminiscent with nature. And Lynn Unangs, okay, art includes hand-woven garments and spirit minder dolls. So again, this the grand opening for this new exhibit will be this coming Friday at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 7:30. And then after that, the gallery will be open like on Saturday and on Sunday, and they'll go back to their sort of regular schedule. So definitely want to check it out. Be here for that opening this coming Friday. T-shirt sale. So today is the final day the final day for ordering your UUCLC t-shirt. So for any of you who want these t-shirts, please go to the lobby after the service and talk to Lynn Pearson. Lynn's right back there. She'll be sitting behind a table, and they're all short sleeve shirts, and they're available in lime green, hot pink, and regular yellow. Now, why does green get a lime and pink get a hot, but yellow just gets regular? It's exciting yellow. No, it's not cowardly yellow, no. All right. They're available in a variety of sizes, and they're going to cost you $20, okay? I'd like to point out the flowers that are on the table here today. These were left after yesterday's memorial service for Jamie. I know a number of you were here, so we're very... Left by the family. Left by the family, yes. So we're very grateful to have those here today. Okay, we want you to help sponsor the Tents for Rents. This is a really active program run by the Community of Hope to try to provide additional housing opportunities for homeless individuals. So please contribute to this fundraising effort. To do so, you can either drop a check in the basket, in the offertory basket, and write on there that it's for Tents for Rents, or you can get online and just Google Tents for Rents, and you'll be taken right to their website, and you can make a contribution there.
But the church will not get credit if you go directly to them. The church will not get credit if you go directly to the tent.
Okay. And the church does get credit. They actually have a big list of all the different contributions by their organization. So the church is on there. We've got a pretty solid start, and it would be really nice to see that number go up. Okay. Then Animal Advocates Ministry Call to Action. We want you to do something. So UUCLC's Animal Advocates is mounting a letter signing campaign urging the director of the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, to adhere to the 2000 Chimpanzee Health Improvement Maintenance and Protection Act, the CHIMP Act, requiring the transfer of chimpanzees owned by the federal government that are no longer being used for research to a chimp haven sanctuary. The Alamogordo primate facility at Holloman Air Force Base currently houses 26 chimps that have not been used in research for at least a decade. So Dave Steele is out in the lobby, and he has a letter for you to sign, put your name on after the service. It'd be really nice for you to go down there. We'll send it to the director and a copy to our representative. And so Dave is the man to see. He's coordinating all this effort. Okay. That is it for the announcements. We're going to now move into our gathering song, which is number 347, Gather the Spirit. Give me a minute. I'm in the piano.
You may rise as you are willing and or able.
And I might note that the words are on the screen.
Gather the spirit of heart and mind.
Okay. Thank you, Rich. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. I'd like to welcome all of you in the sanctuary and those of us who are following on streaming technology today. I'm Charlie Scholes, your service associate. Our service leader this morning is our minister, Reverend Rod Thompson. Our director of music is Catherine Massey, and our director of religious education is Kelly Ingram, neither who are with us today. Rich Richens, however, who gave us the announcements, is our featured pianist this morning. So we should give Rich a big hand. He told me he doesn't play very well. I don't believe that. No, he's one of those very modest people. We want to thank the tech people. We have Elwin Nunn on video today, and Mike Yazko is doing double duty on sound and streaming technology. And let's see. Oh, the chalice table, the beautiful chalice table, was prepared by Jillian Lang and Diane Lee. And we already know the flowers are from Jamie Gebbert's memorial service yesterday. Were left by the family. Very nice. Your greeters, whom you've probably met, are Linda Rochella. Let's see. It says Cindy Backman and Carol Cassavant, but no, it's not Carol, I know, because I saw her sitting here. Oh, there she is. Okay. And Greg White. All right, and hospitality is offered this morning by the Climate Action Group, and that will be in the Religious Education Building down the breezeway after the service. We're all delighted to be with you today, and if you're visiting us, we'd like to meet you. If you're in the sanctuary, please rise in body or spirit and wait until I bring you the microphone, and then tell us who you are and where you're from. All right, do we have any visitors today? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Ann Rimick. This is my first time, but I'm a long-time 30-year resident of this beautiful town. I RV'd for 4 years. I feel like I'm in Newtown. I'm back, and I love the energy here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have anyone else? All righty then. Oh, there you are. I'll come right around.
Hi, everyone. You probably saw us here last week. This is our second time here. I'm Ilse. This is John, and my sister Liduvina, and my baby Alejo. Yeah, we really like it here. We've been feeling really welcome, so I think we're coming back a lot more.
Thank you. Anyone else? All righty. Online for us this morning? Nobody. Okay. I assume it's our regulars then. And let me turn the page. Unitarian Universalism has no creed or dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other according to the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace diversity in all its forms. Everyone is welcome, and you can learn more about our church at our website, UUCLC.org. And please join us after the service for a coffee and conversation inside or outside the Religious Education Building just down the breezeway. Finally, if you have a phone, and I think everyone in the world has one now, would you please put it on silent mode? I just did that, and it actually tells me that it's on silent mode. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Christine Robinson. we gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
He's taller than I am. My opening words this morning are adapted from the Reverend Philip Randall Giles. We come together at the beginning of a month. We come together in this house of memory and hope to celebrate our oneness and our multiplicity, to celebrate our sameness and our differences, to celebrate our variety and our commonality. May we enjoy our mutuality and be taught by our individuality, thus recognizing the richness of our human textures. We rejoice that ours is a community of inclusiveness. Here, let no one be a stranger. Welcome to this celebration of life. I invite you now to stand again as we share together our covenant and then sing the doxology in English and in Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and the service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
One of the ways we support each other in community is through the sharing of joys and sorrows and milestones. In these challenging times, it's crucial that we make attempts to stay connected with each other. So if you have a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone you'd like to share with us this morning, please raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you. State your name and what is in your heart. And remember, this is not a time for announcements. I see a hand.
I'm Richard or Karuna Warren, and we had two girls in our care, in treatment foster care, and both of them are gone back home.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. I shared a couple of weeks ago that my immigrant son, Jose Dulce Rivera, had been arrested. Well, he's been in jail all this time. I finally got him bonded out yesterday. There's a lien on my house, but okay. But, of course, there had been an immigration hold, so an ICE hold. So ICE went and picked him up, and now he's in immigration detention, which is a step up from jail, especially since he had to be in solitary confinement for his safety.
Thank you, Jan.
Another part of that is that his former immigration attorney called me last night. She saw that he was back in detention, and she's going to get him out.
Right. Someone else. Okay. I'm going to light one more chalice, or one more candle, for those hopes and dreams and things in your heart which have not been expressed. We all hold hopes and worries and dreams in our hearts, and if we remember this, we should treat each other with patience and love. There it goes.
Remembering what has been shared, I invite you into this period of quiet for reflection, repose, meditation, and prayer. And in addition to that, I would share these words from the Reverend Max Coots. When love is felt and fear is known, when holidays and holy days and such times come, when anniversaries arrive by calendar or consciousness, when seasons come as seasons do, old and known, but sometime and somehow new. When loves are born and people die, when something sacred sensed in soil or sky, mark the time. Respond with thought or prayer or smile or grief. Let nothing living slip between the fingers of the mind, for all these are holy things we will not, cannot find again. With the sounds of our community all around us, let us enter into the silence. So be it. Blessed be. And amen. We may have to put her on the payroll. You may remain seated as we sing our hymn of transition. Christmas Eve was about what you would expect, but Labor Day, the entire Pearson family would gather at Gran's house to do all the yard work that Gran couldn't do because of, her advanced age. So we would trim, we would all show up with shears, the push lawn mowers, and our gloves, and get into the spider-filled shed, which we then eventually tore down and rebuilt. But then, of course, a couple of people would be dedicated to putting together the cookout that was necessary because you had to have the cookout. Now, for those of you who don't know, the cookout is something that's spiritual in Black communities. Because that's when we all come together. So much so that there's a phrase called invited to the cookout. When you've been invited to the cookout, you're an ally. When somebody says, you've been invited to the cookout, you're invited to the cookout. That means you've been an ally to the Black community. That's something that you aspire to. That means you've done a lot of work to help us. You want to be invited to the cookout. We've done, we did the Labor Day tradition so long that I eventually started calling it Labors for Labor Day. I like to think that caught on for the rest of the family. And as a matter of fact, for the sake of storytelling, we're going to say that it did. Because I like to think I was popular enough in the family. So the last Labor Day that I made it to was 13 years ago, 2 weeks before I was arrested the last time. So September 16th, 13 years ago, was the second time I was arrested. And I ended up spending the next several weeks living with Gran as she watched me get sicker and sicker and sicker. And what I didn't know was she was reporting to my parents how sick I was, I couldn't even feed myself. I was eating cold hot dogs out of the fridge. And she was saying, your boy ain't healthy. But it's important to note, then she sent me out here. Gran passed away before she could see me get sober and do all the work that I did. And I think about Gran every day. No joke, I think about Gran every day. And especially on Labor Day. So I could talk about this. I have when I contacted Charlie and company, I had a whole service planned for y'all for Labor Day. So I'm condensing this down into a reflection. So my charge to y'all was do a labor for Labor Day. Find somebody to do for something that they can't do for themselves. If you don't have the time to become somebody that you can be invited to the cookout, to be enough for your community to be invited to the cookout, because that's a lot of work, I get it. Just do a labor for Labor Day. Find somebody. Just do it for me, for Gran. Thank you. We have been transported. Thank you. I have added something in before I start my homily because it will help explain my homily. And it is going to be on the screens because I didn't get a chance to put it in any place else. So, and you don't need to stand for this, but I would invite you to read it with me if you would. It's from T.S. Eliot. If you have a hymnal and you want to read it from the back, that's fine. But here are the words. What we call a beginning is often an end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know it for the first time. It is obvious that this is Labor Day weekend. If you're working, you may have the day off tomorrow, or not. If you're in retail, you're working. Labor Day weekend is a symbol of transition, at least for me. Growing up, Labor Day weekend was very important. On Labor Day itself, of course, we had family picnics or church picnics, which with my family, that was almost the same thing. We did some back-to-school shopping, but very little. Tuesday was Kids' Day at the Stark County Fair. In June, in our last report card in June, we received a ticket to get into the Stark County Fair, as well as the Ohio State Fair. Then Wednesday, school started every year. So psychologically, anyway, Labor Day weekend has always meant transition for me. The end of summer, the beginning of autumn, even though autumn doesn't actually start until September 22nd. The end of vacation, the beginning of school, and of course the schools around here have been going for a long time already. Way too early for, I hear. It's the end of relaxing and the beginning of scheduled time. I know everyone's summer is different. Of course, there are a lot of us who are always scheduled. It's the end of hot, humid, this is Ohio I'm talking about, but the end of hot, humid and the beginning of cooler and rain. They've been having higher temperatures than we have. Yeah, well, anyway. And of course, I'm still learning about New Mexico weather again. Yeah, okay. And of course, it was the end of playtime and the beginning of football. Hey, Ohio State won big yesterday, so anyway. You can check in on your own schools on that if you wish. Anyway, of course, Labor Day doesn't really change anything. Yet, we need markers like this to measure progress, or at least I do. For instance, like a lot of you, I need markers when I travel. If it's someplace that I regularly travel to or from, I have already got markers, like the rest stops. Hey, at a certain age, you go by any gas station, but you stop at every rest stop. And of course, there were also outlet malls and Bob Evans restaurants. But if it's an unknown territory, then I play a game with myself of thinking, where will I be when? We all seem to need markers in our lives. We mark births and deaths, the first day of school, graduations, other educational milestones, coming of age milestones. Remember standing next to the door frame and marking your height at the beginning of school every year. Of course, we remember the dates of marriages and ends of marriages and remarriages, moves to a new house or a new apartment or a new city, retirement, unretirement, re-retirement. I think Elwyn is still way ahead of everybody else with the re-retirement and unretirement part. We all seem to need markers in the cycle of the year, beginning, middle, end. Of course, all of these are artificial, made-up markers, like the year being divided into quarters, strictly arbitrary and governmental primarily. And of course, the year itself has different names: the tax year, the church year, the UUA's fiscal year, which is different than ours, and of course, the country's fiscal year. Other markers in our year are markers that stimulate memories, like birthdays and anniversaries, holidays, seasons. The calendar says one thing, our expectations say another, and reality is yet another marker of seasons. For me, even though the calendar says that autumn begins today, maybe not here, but for me, back in Ohio, it was the fall colors that marked the beginning of autumn, and the first snow that marked the beginning of winter, and the first flowers that marked the beginning of spring, and thunderstorms began the beginning of summer. I haven't figured out New Mexico. We had thunder yesterday. Of course, we also have markers in our weeks. Yeah, for instance, we have work days and weekend days, except for those of us who work on weekends. Days are divided between light and dark, and I used to get up with the sun because my brain would shut off at sunset. Weeknight meetings, especially in the winter, were very hard for one whose brain shuts off at sunset, which is 5 o'clock. Recently, I've become a night owl. I don't know why, and I don't know what to do about it either. Other markers are wake-up times, office times, meal times, news times, although I've scratched most of those out. Likewise, there are markers for the cycle of the church. Picnics, holidays, pledge time, choir practice beginning, annual meetings, RE begins, RE ends. This is the beginning of my second year here. Again, of course, I started on August 1st, so it really isn't the beginning, or maybe it is the beginning of the year. Yet, with all of these reminders that time is cyclical Too often we get to be thinking that time is linear. And I blame the invention of the digital clock and watches for that, or at least partially. Digital watches measure linear time. Instead, I prefer to use a watch with the traditional face, the hands that go round and round in a circle. That way, you can constantly be reminded of the cyclical time. That's the time that allows for new beginnings and still allows for us to go back to what is comfortable, to experience the seasons, the full moon, high noon, over and over again, yet newly each time. That's a lot more how life is really lived cyclically. Just like travel gives us a chance to experience new places, we come back home again to places we love. There have never been any place like it. Yet, when we come back home again, we often see it with new eyes, as I did on my recent trip to Ohio. Likewise, it's important to meet new people, if only to give ourselves something new to see, to experience. We love the people we have known for a long time. We revel in their predictability. We rely on their sameness and their unchangingness. And of course, they're changing much as we are. It's we that don't remember or don't recognize that we're changing. But as we meet new folks, we often see the people we know and love with new eyes. So I encourage you to go around the world as it spins, to live cyclical time. We shall not cease from exploring. At the end, we come back to the beginning. We come back to where we started and know it for the first time. That's what Labor Day reminds me to do. These words from a former colleague, Robert Weston, is a poem. In his poem, A Year Begins Today, he says it in a little different way. A year is gone. It matters not when it began, for it has ended now. There were other years, and some began with a birthday, and some with a death, some with one day of the month, and some with another. Some began with a song, and others with a lament. But today, I start another year, whatever the month or season. It is what lies before me that concerns me now. There will be decisions and tasks. There will be drudgery, achievements, and defeat. There will be joy and grief, all the raw stuff of experience waiting for me to shape, to fashion as I will. And it will never become just what I planned. However it may appear to others, I can turn it to knowledge and wisdom or folly. If it is hard, I can make of it strength. It may become bone, sinew, and steel, or ashes and waste. Someone might say it all depends on what the year may bring. But what I make of it depends on me. That's what Labor Day reminds me to do. to enjoy the return of the familiar, home after a vacation, familiar faces, familiar routines. Labor Day also reminds us to be ready for something new. For something new is beginning every moment. We need to watch for them, use them, enjoy them. We must be ready for new beginnings like these described by my colleague Annie Forster, who writes, "Beginnings are an opportunity to make endings better. Beginnings are challenges that give you the opportunity to show off a little. Beginnings are the rush of adrenaline that you get when your feet leave the high dive and you know you can't put them back. Beginnings are the first star of the evening, the one you make a wish on. Beginnings are the first flower in spring, the one that only hints at the treasures to come. Beginnings are the first ring of the telephone, if yours rings, when you're expecting an important call. Beginnings are the very first memory you have in your life because it's the most powerful one of all and you'll never forget it. Beginnings take courage, and they take innovation, and they take a so what attitude toward failure, but they don't take effort. They're going to happen whether you choose them or not. As Eliot says, what we call a beginning is often an end, which gives us the opportunity to make changes, to end that we've always done it this way, to try on something new. So I invite you to use these real or invented transitions. I invite you to use these ends and beginnings as you need them. They give you a chance to start again, to make a fresh start, to set new goals for yourself and for the church. The past is gone, never to come again. In this year to come, let us consider the things we cannot change, the places we were born, the parents who birthed us, hurts we have caused and hurts we have suffered, disappointments we've experienced, and our disappointments of others, tragedies we've endured, errors of judgments we have paid for, all past mistakes and grief. These are gone now, behind us, over with, if we so choose. Let us accept what we cannot change, while at the same time we need to find the courage to change what we can. Not what other people say, because we cannot alter that. Not what others think, because it's their privilege. Not what other people do, for we cannot determine that. But we can change how we respond to what others say, think, or do. Perhaps the most important and hardest part of life is learning to discern the difference between what we can and cannot change. As we plan to start a new year, let's give thought to those differences between what we can and cannot change in each of our lives and in our church. And perhaps by contemplation, by wise choice, we can learn to trust the cycles of life and the group process. what we call a beginning is often the end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. May we find it so, again and again and again. I think it's your turn.
The operation and outreach of our church needs your input and your contributions. This is a perfect time to think about what you can give back. So in a moment, the greeters will pass among you with the offering baskets. We ask you to give generously. But before they do that, I would remind you that we support different organizations, usually 4 during the year, identified by the Social Justice Committee with what we call our Change for Change program. This quarter's recipient for Change donations is the Cat's Meow. It's a no-kill shelter for cats. You can give to them by putting your change in the basket or by writing Change for Change on the note line of your check. Please give generously.
call a beginning is often an end. And to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. May we start and end right here in this, our beloved community. So be it. Blessed be. And amen. Closing hymn is number 350. If you are willing to stand, or if you are able to do so, we will sing together the ceaseless flow of endless time.
We note that this is a song that we have not sung many times. So Kathy and I are going to play it one time through, just so you can hear it, and then we will sing all 3 verses. Okay?
Okay, Mike?
Okay, this is 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay.
Okay, everybody.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dream like melts away. The breaking of tomorrow's dawn begins anew today. The past and future ever meet in the eternal now, to make each day a thing complete shall be our New Year vow.
Please join me in saying the words as we extinguish our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
What do you mean?
I like the way you hit the keys.